I'm meteorologist Alex Noel, and again we have a tornado warning that has been issued for Jackson Parish and Washita Parish. A confirmed tornado in the Arklamas. This is a observed tornado. That means someone saw it with their own eyes. And where we're tracking again is where these reds and greens mix. Just to recap, again, we have 3 active tornado warnings for the Arklamas right now. Hurricane Francine is now back down to a Category 1 hurricane after making landfall just 30 miles southwest of Morgan City at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. Now, as of this hour, 22,000 to 24,000 residents in Morgan City, Houma, and Thibodaux are without power.
And you may notice that with your dew point temperatures as well, very saturated, and that's a lot of fuel needed that those thunderstorms could use as they move across the area. Now, regarding our severe thunderstorm watch, this goes until 8 p.m. for our northwestern parishes and counties, and it does have the potential to be extended throughout the Arklamas. That decision may be made within the next hour and a half or so. We'll keep you updated if it does.
Now, severe weather outlook, majority of the Arklamas either under a level 3 enhanced or a level 2 slight risk, and all modes of severe weather are possible, but not everyone will see it. I want to make that point clear. Just because you have the potential to see it, storms are fairly small compared to a wide area. Not only that, we had a lot of rainfall already yesterday, so a level 1 marginal risk for your excessive rainfall outlook. Here are your severe threats. Again, damaging wind gusts and tornadoes are your most concerning, followed by smaller hail and isolated flash flooding throughout the entire region. This cell that we were tracking there is already off towards northeast. Now we draw your attention to Bastrop because this potential area of rotation has nothing to compete with. And it's also tracking further north than directly northeast. Allen Road, Jonesville Road, and Cook Road. That area of rotation is right on this neighborhood, right here near Allen Road. So if you know anybody in there, get them into their safe place. If you have this on your TV, turn it loud and go to the bathroom or go into a closet and wait till it's over. And then we have the line of storms behind it that we're also keeping an eye on for damaging wind gusts. A drop in pressure, which typically indicates an increase of your winds not too long after. So it's likely that we will potentially have Hurricane Francine in the next few hours. By the next update, you can see the core of low pressure is right here. Some very cold cloud tops moving up from that convection, seeming very likely in that area as it continues to progress in the Gulf of Mexico.
This is what's called a mesoscale convective system. It is a smaller area of low pressure that is, again, not a very deep trough like we've experienced in the past. And it's these little mesoscale convective systems that we've been impacted by over the past few days, realistically since last Thursday.
And just to show that the atmosphere is prime and potentially ready for this, the limited factor for severe weather was, again, limited yesterday, but just hot off the press, the National Weather Service of Shreveport has confirmed a tornado in Jackson Parish yesterday evening. It was an EF1. If we see this tomorrow, you need to make sure you know where your safe place is located. If you're traveling tomorrow, have a place to go. All of these things are incredibly important, and make sure you have more than one way to stay alerted of watches and warnings when they are issued. Hello and welcome to StarCast. Today we'll be discussing the summer solstice that occurs on June 20th of this year. An eclipse occurring on April 8th of 2024. Today we will be discussing the International Space Station, otherwise known as the ISS. Now it's time to take a step off of Earth's surface to discuss our planet and why we even get seasons here in the first place. Now we have our planet, well, we're supposed to have our planet, get over here, and you would notice it's in a state of equilibrium. This is not what's going to occur on the 20th. What we experience during the solstice is a tilt at the maximum of 23.5 degrees. We have our sun, our Earth, and our moon. And it all happens in a very precise fashion. Only a few times, once in a generation, that we have a total eclipse. For a few minutes, again, I mentioned once every generation that we have a full and total eclipse. And that's when the sky turns completely black for just a few moments over just a few areas of Earth's surface. And afterwards, the moon passes from in front of the sun and things go back to normal. During the summer, we are tilted towards the sun in the northern hemisphere, and the southern is tilted away. So that means they're experiencing winter. The special thing about this particular solstice is that this is the first time in 228 years that it's occurring this early in the year, being on June 20th. The technical maximum tilt is going to occur at 3:50 p.m., but this isn't something you can see with your own eyes. What you can see, though, is the amount of sunlight that we will receive, which is the longest day of the year. So make sure as you go out and do some star casting, stay cool and stay hydrated. Good evening, everyone. Taking a look at your live storm tracker Doppler radar at this hour. Not much to see here across the Arkansas region. We aren't expecting much for this evening. Now tomorrow morning is going to be a bit of a different story. We'll get there in just a moment. Regarding temperatures, rather soggy and saturated. Monroe is still at 67, Ruston 64, Camden one of the coolest at 59, and that's not much cool for this time of year, although that's typically our high temperature. Dew point temperatures are showing the reason why. We have ample moisture within the atmosphere, just a hop, skip, and then jump north towards central Arkansas. Much drier and cooler conditions are central there, but due to the flow from the Gulf of Mexico and again our cloud cover in most regions, that is why we have such ample moisture in the atmosphere, especially closer towards the surface this evening. That can also lead to some spotty fog later tonight and early tomorrow morning, and we'll get to that in just a moment as well. Here's our warm front that has lifted northeastward earlier this evening, and our next frontal boundary, a cold front, expected to impact the Arkansas region early tomorrow morning. Let's discuss timing and placement. Timing again is as aforementioned earlier tomorrow morning. Here is a stream of winds from the Gulf of Mexico. This is our source of the fuel from our warm, moist wind. And as the front approaches the Arkansas, you can see in our northwestern parishes and counties, those are the locations that will see the shower and thunderstorm activity first. This will also be the area that sees the most abundant potential for the isolated threat of severe weather. Again, the key words there are isolated threat of severe weather. As the front continues to move southeastward, the threat tapers off rather significantly. There's not as many active ingredients off towards the south and southeast for, again, the severe weather potential. And if anything at all, it'll be a stronger winds than just a regular thunderstorm that we're used to in this region. This front will be across the region in the central Arkansas area right around noon, exiting the Mississippi River Valley later in the afternoon to evening. High pressure building in by the later evening hours, clearing out the rest of the atmosphere of moisture and cloud cover. By Thursday and Friday, our next front here is a very dry front. So what we're looking for in that one is a change in dew point temperatures, which means a drop in temperature on Saturday. Saturday is going to be quite chilly, especially in overnight lows. Here is again a very isolated severe weather threat, mainly off towards the north and northwest. I wouldn't be surprised if we get completely trimmed out of this region as it continues to shift off towards the northeast, and the main threat that we're tracking there is damaging wind gust and isolated threat for hail. This will occur again pretty early in the day as most of us are getting ready for school, church, work, what have you. Just be aware as you head out the front door. Also, as you head out the front door, especially if you reside in your southwestern parishes along the I-49 corridor, you're going to run into some patchy and potentially dense fog. Southern Arkansas, you are experiencing that right now. Set the alarm clock a few minutes earlier than you typically would to account for travel and traffic conditions, some of which may not be ideal early in the morning. Tonight's overnight lows fall into the upper 50s, lower 60s. Tomorrow daytime highs rebound into those upper 60s. Not that much of a temperature change, mind you. And over the next 7 days, our temperatures will be above average except for Saturday, with temperatures into the lower 30s. I would not put past upper 20s early on Saturday morning.
Frigid temperatures, but I'm glad to have the sun back. So that's a win for me, at least.
Then we're back into the heat just in time for Christmas.
Hey,